What's up, everybody? I got my buddy Tux in the back, as you can see. Wanted to do something special. It's the first time I've ever doing this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I just kind of want to do a recap of 2019, just start mentioning some of the movies. I got some categories in my head, and I'm just going to tell you, in my opinion, what won. So it's kind of like my own award show. So yeah, let's just kind of go into this, just to give you the forewarning into this. It's not going to just be movies I did reviews on. In fact, there's going to be a lot of movies that I didn't do reviews on. Some of the movies I have, but don't think it's going to be anything biased like that by any means. I will say too, at the very end of it, Tux won't talk to you. I will though. We'll mention some of the movies I'm looking forward to for next year as well. But yeah, diving into it, when I was thinking about this list, it came up, the first thing, I was trying to think of the dramas that I saw. And the truth be known, might as well just say it, I can't think of any drama movies that I saw this year outside of the Ad Straw movie, which is the Brad Pitt in space. Now, I did do a cool review on this one because I really did some cool Easter egg comparisons. I'm not going to get into this video. That's not what this video is for. But it'll say if you're interested in any of that, that is worth checking out. But outside of that, it's Brad Pitt in space. It is a drama. It's long. So get ready for that. If you think it's an action or a comedy or anything like that, no. All the action's in the trailer. So I'm just going to say that. So that's going to win by default. Didn't see a lot of dramas this year. So going from drama, let's go straight to comedy. Some comedies that came out this year were Long Shot, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Hustle with Anne Hathaway. The movie that I got to give it to, though, and it's really just because I feel like I laughed the most when I saw this movie, which I don't know what this says about me.
Keep left onto I-65 North
The Good
toward Fair
Boys,
Expo Center.
And it's literally about middle school humor. And so I don't know what that says about me, but I laughed quite a bit in that movie. It's not for kids, just because it's middle school kids or whatever. It's definitely not a kids movie. So speaking of kids, let's just start talking about the animated films that came out this year, and there were quite a few. There was Missing Link, Toy Story 4, Life of Pets 2. I'm missing some. Ugly Dolls, the Addams Family. I'm gonna think of another one too in a second. The one I gotta give it to though is Frozen 2. Now, some of you a lot of people I know love Toy Story 4. I didn't. In fact, all these movies, I feel like, there's a lot of animated films that came out this year, but I don't feel like any of them really shine. Like even Frozen 2, some of the songs were catchy. Just out of, all the movies that came out, I feel like I liked Frozen 2 the most. But realistically, I'm not in any rush to see Frozen 2 again either. I like the first one better than the second one. So I just don't feel like the animated films that came out this year came out swinging. They just weren't that strong for me. So with that being said, let's go into, since we covered the animated films, let's talk about the family fantasy. Now, I already know there's somebody out there and be like, whoa, wait. Frozen 2 is a family fantasy, Jericho. And yes, it is, but it's also animated. Remember that. So, you don't fight me on this. You're just going to have to let it go. Yeah. You appreciated that. So, family fantasy. It's basically, if you can think of a Disney movie that wasn't a superhero movie, that's on this list. We got Aladdin, we have Lion King, Maleficent, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, some other ones on this list. I put Alita, on this list. We also have Jumanji and Dora the Explorer. Now, for me, this was a hard, group of films to try and figure out. I almost chose Star Wars, just out of nostalgia of it. It's the last film. I did enjoy it. I almost chose Star Wars, but at the end of the day, I talked more about, Dumbo came out too. Dumbo didn't win. But the movie that I talked about the most with, and I feel like I've actually had more conversations with, is Aladdin. I know I'm going to get a lot of grief for this because you either loved it or you hated it, I guess. And I actually enjoyed it. Now, did I like Jafar? Was Aladdin the strongest? No, not by any means. Do I think Naomi, who plays Jasmine, I thought she did incredible. I thought Will Smith did his take on a genie. I thought it was great. He didn't try and recreate something. He made something, and I loved it. It wasn't even one of my wishes. So Aladdin wins my family fantasy movie. So let's go from that to, obviously, the scary movies now. So we got the horror and thriller kind of movies, which, why can't I think? Us was one. We had Dr. Sleep, Pet Sematary, Brightburn. If you know me, though, the one that I'm going to have to give it to, because I did enjoy it, again, not as much as I enjoyed the first one, was It Chapter 2. And actually, it was my first movie review, so there's a bit of just love there for me anyways. But I do enjoy the It series that they've done. I enjoy the adaptation. Is it flawless? Not by any means, but overall I think it's a great story. I'm excited to just watch them back to back. There's rumor about a director's cut where it chops them up like in the correct order of kind of like the book. If that happens, you better believe it that I'm going to watch that, because that would just be really cool. But anyways, so let's go from that to let's go from scary to inspirational movies. Kind of gave it away. Biography movies or based on true stories. So let's talk about these movies. Again, there's quite a few came out this year. There was The Best of Enemies. Harriet's out right now. Richard Jewell's out right now. Rocket Man came out earlier. The one that let me rephrase what I said last time. If there was any category that was hard to choose, it's this one, because a part of me wants Ford versus Ferrari to win. In fact, when I was thinking of this list, I was really trying to push this Ford versus Ferrari to drama. I'm like, could this be a drama? But it's not. I mean, it's based off a true story. It is a real story and stuff. And so I recommend you to see this movie. The movie that I feel like you have to see, though, is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I mean, the Mr. Rogers movie, Tom Hanks plays or acts in.
In 2 miles, keep left onto I-65 north toward Fair Expo Center.
It was the most inspirational movie I've seen all year. It's definitely one of the most inspirational movies I've seen in a long time, even. So it's a movie I feel like you have to see. So, boom, we have that. Now, let's jump over to superheroes. Now, I could have put this with family fantasy or even action or just even given Disney its own category. But I just want to put superheroes in its own category. And I'm also kind of be a little bit stiff with this when in the aspect of, like, if it's superhero or comic book related, like, this is your category. Now, if it doesn't fit the same theme as your typical Captain America movie or whatever, that I can't knock you on that. Like, to me, I'm just going to try and categorize all the superhero films or comic book films completely. So, and the reason I'm saying that is we have Joker. So Joker is a superhero film, or it's in that category, just like The Kitchen is. Obviously, neither of those win. which I might get flack on that either. I personally don't enjoy the Joker film as a comic book movie.
Use the left 3 lanes to keep left onto I-65 north toward Fair Expo Center.
Like, made you think you're watching a Joker movie, but you know, it's not my film. They did their vision. It is what it is. I just don't like it as a Joker film. Anyways, moving on, we have Shazam, which actually was the funniest superhero movie that I saw all year.
Keep left.
We also got Captain Marvel, Hellboy, which was phenomenal. Even if, you know, I do miss Ron Perlman and Del Toro.
For 63 miles,
you know,
continue
I love
straight.
The character, and I'm glad they kept moving forward. And so I'd rather something better than nothing. So boom, there's Hellboy. Spider-Man, actually, that has questionably one of the coolest superhero scenes in all of the superhero movies. In fact, Mysterio has been one of my favorite Spider-Man villains anyways, like from the comics and even the cartoon and stuff. I'm like, and then when I heard they were doing it, I'm like, oh man, they could do that. If they do this right, he could be crazy cool. And there's this scene in the middle of the movie where they did it really cool, and it's executed very well, and I loved it. Probably one of the coolest scenes in superhero cinematography, period. But for me, at the end of the day, the movie that's going to win is Avengers Endgame. Again, kind of for what it is. Like, how many movies have we spent? How many years have we spent leading up to this point? So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, that many superheroes all in one movie is kind of cool. I like the back half way more than the front half. Was the movie flawless? Not by a long shot. There's a lot of holes and a lot of, like, just questions about that movie. More than some of these other ones. But again, for what it is, I got to give it to Avengers Endgame. So that kind of leads into the action movies, which is questionably my favorite category. We have John Wick 3, Angel Has Fallen, Terminator, Gemini Man. I know I'm forgetting some, but the movie that, if you know me, this isn't going to come to any surprise either. The movie that wins the action category, though, is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I loved it. I am super stoked. We're not talking about 2020 movies yet. Forget that. I love the movie. I saw it in 4DX, and if you've never seen a 4DX movie, I recommend something like the Godzilla movie, where it's just like, it's incredible and that kind of stuff. If you don't know what a 4DX is, it's an experience. It's not necessarily a movie. Like, the chairs move, it sprays water, you know, there's fog machine, strobe, like, it's very interactive and that kind of stuff. It was incredible. I've watched it also since then. It's still a great movie. Just seeing these giant monsters fighting, so awesome. So Godzilla, spoiler, Godzilla King of the Monsters was my favorite action movie. Now, this last category that I feel like I need to throw in there, just because honestly, it's not going anywhere. We need to embrace it. I'm not going to get into all the movies that came out this year, just because there's way too many for me to even know about. I don't own, and here it is, every streaming platform. So the movie category is kind of just a streaming exclusive movie. Now, you know, we're talking about your Amazon, you know, most recently the Disney Prime, you know, your Netflix, you know, movies that are specifically made or filmed for TV or the streaming platform. Now, and I'm not talking about TV shows or anything like that. Like, we're staying with movies. And the movie that really stood out to me is on Netflix. It's called The Highwayman. And for some reason, like, yeah, it was a cool story, and it's something I've never seen before. And a cool thing about it is, like, I watched it twice because Netflix tempted me, and I gave in to that temptation by watching it a second time, and it was good. And the concept of The Highwayman, if you haven't heard of it, is we all know the story of Bonnie and Clyde, and most movies or adaptations about Bonnie and Clyde are about Bonnie and Clyde. Well, this movie is about Bonnie and Clyde, but it's about the highwaymen who are after Bonnie and Clyde. It stars Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson and Kathy Bates and stuff, and it was incredible. I really enjoyed it. So that's that. So that's kind of my award aspects. Like the movies that I really think are the greats, or the ones that stood out, I shouldn't say greats, that were my favorites out of all the movies that came out in 2019. Some movies I'm really looking forward to in 2020. To start it off, I'm a sucker for water movies because it's my fear, is this underwater movie. It comes out in January. But outside of that, there's a lot of great movies. There's Doolittle. If you're into the Fast and Furious movies, you know, there's the James Bond movie. What else is there? There's the Jungle Cruise with Emily Blunt and The Rock. The two movies that I'm most excited for, if you got kids, there's the new Trolls movie. I think there's a SpongeBob movie coming out next year too. Also, sorry, I completely cut off my two movies. But anyways, the superhero movies coming out next year, there's a couple of them. The two biggest ones are probably going to be Black Widow and Wonder Woman. Actually, questionably, the most anticipated movie for next year is probably Maverick. Let's just say that. But for me personally, which I will see Maverick, don't get me wrong, I love Maverick. But the two most anticipated movies for me personally, like you kind of got it already, is Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm super stoked. This is technically part 4, so just giving you that forewarning already. The first one was this is how they filmed it. The first one was Godzilla, then they filmed Skull Island, which was King Kong's storyline, or technically it's just, yeah, he was King Kong. And that takes place back in the 70s. Then they did Godzilla King of the Monsters, and now, boom, we got Godzilla vs. Kong, comes out in November. But then, really, outside of that, probably my most anticipated film is The Quiet Place 2. Now, I didn't do reviews last year, so obviously I didn't do a review on the first one, but just to give you an idea how much I loved the first one, is I saw it 4 times in theaters. It's an incredible movie. It's probably in my top 10 all time. It's an original story. I loved it, and just the way it was put together, it was an incredible movie. I'm a little bit nervous with the sequel, but John Krasinski's back. He's doing it, so you just got to put trust where trust is, due. He's earned it. So I wish, personally, I thought it'd be cool if they did a prequel, because even when A Quiet Place starts, it says like day 89. It's like, well, there's plenty of days before that to, do a prequel. Because really, The Quiet Place covers a lot of time ground, but the film itself only is like, 5 days, basically, less than that, But, it is what it is. So, this is going a little long, but let me know what you think. If you like this video, hit the like button. This is a cool video to do the comments on, honestly. Let me know what your favorite movies were. Even if you say Toy Story 4, like, that's cool. Let's start a conversation about it. Tell me why you like that movie. But let me know, like, were your, movies the same as mine and that kind of stuff? Did we match? Were we completely opposites? Let me know. Also, let me know what movies you're excited for 2020, just because it might not be a movie that I know of, there's a lot of movies I am anticipating for in 2020. It's just, this is for the 2019 recap, but it felt like mentioning it. So, but be sure to hit me up in the comments below, because I will read them. I'll engage for sure, no matter what you say. But then, yeah, hit the like button if you like this, and always be sure to subscribe. That way you're up to date with future movie reviews. So, thank you guys so much. Until next time, Tux, say goodbye.